Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of Digital Soul Presents. This episode, we are discussing the Prince Celebration 2025 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with my guest, Chris Robb, DJ Funkclone, and Miss Heaven Diane. We would like to also dedicate this episode to the legendary Sly Stone, founder of Sly and the Family Stone, who did recently pass away right before we did shoot this episode. Also a big influence on Prince as well, who does come up in our conversation. So we definitely would love to send a shout out to the family of Sly Stone and also dedicate this episode to him as well. So stay tuned and enjoy. So yeah, man, talk about the first day when you got there. What was that like? The Paisley Park event there.
Well, before Paisley Park, the first thing we did, we went to First Avenue that first night we were there, and that was a real treat because I had never been. I'd seen the outside of it 3 years ago, but I'd never been inside.
If you
So
got if you got in,
finally got to go inside, and that's where we picked up our credentials for
yeah,
the whole celebration. But it was
nice.
really, really cool to be up in there. That was really special.
Yeah. So what did it look like? Well, just describe it. How did it feel?
It it looks like it how it looks in the movie from 41 years ago. It looks the same. I was like thinking, okay, they've remodeled it. It probably a different color. The walls are probably like a brighter color now or something like that. No, they kept the walls black. It looks like the movie.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
changed really too much. I was really taken aback by that. And there's certain areas where you look up like towards the second level, like the balcony area, and and it's like I had deja vu of the movie. It's like it looks just like shots from the movie. So that was I was like, that's really crazy.
Very
How how they kept it looking that way all these years. So yeah, really cool.
cool. What?
Place was packed. People were dancing. People were having a great time. Um, it was weird to see them because they were mixing videos, video footage, audio, video footage. So they had a screen where the stage is at. They had a big screen and they were showing the videos with the audio. And they were playing, you know, clips from Purple Rain, I Would Die for You, Let's Go Crazy, the actual videos, but with footage that was filmed in First Avenue. And it was just weird. It was like a weird thing to see the footage of him performing at First Avenue on the screen, on the stage where it was filmed. It was
Yeah,
weird.
like a
That
picture
was
within a picture.
yeah. It was like that's where they shot this is right here where they actually have the screen set up. It was like Twilight Zone type stuff. It
Yeah.
was weird, you know.
Hold on, we got somebody entering the room, man. We got Chris Robb coming in here.
Okay.
Hold on. Chris Robb, what it do, dog?
Hey, what up with it? How y'all doing?
Man, good to see you, my brother. How you doing?
Oh man, it was good to kick it, fam. That was fun. That was fun.
Man, wasn't it though?
Yeah, that was crazy, bro. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to jump on. I mean, I did the bird with them a bunch of times, but at
Yeah.
Paisley Park, that was crazy. And then my bro looked out like we was kicking. I was like, all right, this is perfect. That was fire, man.
Man,
How y'all doing? What
I barely even saw you. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, I know this is not who I think it is, but I just saw. I was like, oh man.
Dog, when I tell you how random that happened, because I was legit like just um super duper like I've been my schedule's been kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
I know I know it's gonna happen, and I knew what was happening that night, and I was like, damn, I would love to see that, but uh, I legit like decided to go like maybe like that night before, and I got the tickets, and then I was just delayed. There was all those delays and all that, so just to walk in, and I
Mhm.
was like pissed. I was in the airport, like, damn, I'm missing the fam. Like I'm looking at the family on live, and I'm still trying to get there, and I'm like, damn. I mean, I seen the time, you know what I'm saying?
Seriously?
So yeah, I'm looking at. I'm in Chicago because I had a layover in Chicago,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm in Chicago. You know, I'm in Chicago, and I'm watching the family on the live. I'm like, damn, like I know Jesse gonna go in. I know I'm missing this thing.
That's crazy.
So, when I got the flight, you know, um, I got there in time for the time, you know, to come out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna be present and really appreciate it. But to have that moment was crazy, you know. It was
And
worth it was like worth the flight, kind of.
you walked in as the concert was happening, and it ended up on the stage.
It was crazy, bro. That's Paisley Park, bro. That's what they did Sound of the Times, man. Come on, bro. Come on, man. You know, like
Can't make this shit up, right?
no, it was a vibe. It was a vibe. What y'all talking about on here, man? What y'all going in?
But first of all, man, have you guys met Chris? This is Paul, DJ Funkclone. Have you guys met? Because he was there at the concert too as well.
What's up, my brother? How you doing, Paul?
How you doing, man? I don't think we met before, but nice meeting you here, man.
Yeah,
You as well, brother. You as
yeah.
well.
Paul's a dope, super talented DJ, music collector, vinyl collector. Just a music lover like myself. Chris is a super talented, dope, fucking pianist, keyboardist, producer, artist. He's just off the chain. So I just
Thank
want
you,
to
bro.
introduce you guys.
Man, pleasure to meet you, bro.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
man.
yeah. And before you hopped on, Paul just kind of telling us about his first day there when he got to. He said he finally, well, it was a second trip, but he finally got to First Avenue and saw the inside of it, and he was kind of telling me about the inside because I never seen the inside of it other than through the glass. But he
Oh,
actually,
you haven't been there? Was the first happening yet?
I never went in. Yeah, I've never been
Oh,
inside.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But Paul was telling me he was kind of telling me about his experience going inside, and when he went in there, they were showing the movie on the screen as he was in there. So he was talking about the effect of how looking up and seeing the action scenes in the First Avenue while he was in there. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty surreal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like I was telling you, it was weird to see like they were showing the performance of "I Would Die for You" up on the screen, up on the stage, and that footage was shot on that stage where the screen is at. It was just kind of like it was like some weird, weird dimensional stuff. It was strange.
Nah, that's nah. It's kind of wild. Well, I'm trying to remember the first time I went in First Avenue because you know it was wild, man. The first time I went to Minneapolis, man, this was like I want to say 2000, and I was like in college, and me and my boy, we went. We were huge Prince fans, obviously, and we just decided one night. My man he was like, "Hey, bro, let's go meet Prince, man. Let's just go find him." And we just was like, "All right." So we just drove from Chicago, man. He had a whip, he had a truck, and we just drove down to Minneapolis like that night. We just that's when you just super duper like just hype
Yeah.
about life and about opportunities and everything. And we just drove down there, and we went to Minneapolis for like 4 days,
Mm.
like just trying to find Prince. And we actually went. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It might have been 5 nights we went down there, and we just went um and just went everywhere that we thought we could try to find him. Because at the time he had a relationship with Rhonda.
Okay.
Was playing bass with him,
Right.
and then so Rhonda, was just kind of like I don't know. She wasn't. She's like, he hit her up, and she was like, "Yo, I can't really help you like that." I don't know. We were super frantic. We just was hyped. Like, he had met her at NAM or something. But we ended up down there, and we were just kind of like making around. So that's like the first time I actually went to First Avenue, and I'll forget some random band was playing. I can't even remember who the band was, but I just remember walking in there like, yo, this is like, this is where they did it. You know what I'm saying? And then years later, I would see, I saw Revolution there. Like, I think
Yeah,
that was like last year. The Revolution did their thing. Was it
I
last year or the year before?
think it was
But
like year before. Yeah,
yeah, that was crazy. But it was just a thing. And then we actually saw Prince. Like we ended up at Bunkers. It was a Monday night, and they did the Mambo combo. And I was sitting at the front table, and I was sitting there for like a minute. And then I moved around, started moving around. And then my boy came up to me and was like, yo, Prince is here. And we looked, he put it to the table, and Prince was sitting at the very table I was sitting at the seat. And just like that, just then, they're like, all right, thank y'all so much, Mambo's combo and Jelly Bean and them. They're like, thank y'all so much for coming out. Prince like dipped right out through the kitchen. And we ran out outside to try to, catch him, say what's up. And there's a security guard was like, yeah. We watched him get a limo. We just like, man, we came from Chicago. We just made it meet Prince. He's like, well, just hold on 1 second. We'll try to work it out. The limo was pulling off and shit. He had a limo.
yeah.
And it's pulling off. We like, man, what you doing? He like, but obviously, whatever. Now that I think about that, I totally understand, But I came back maybe like a couple months later, and he was doing those jam sessions. He was doing these jam sessions at Paisley Park
Mhm.
every Friday night. We heard he was auditioning musicians, and that's when I actually got to meet him and went up. I jammed. I played that night with Morris Hayes and Kirk Johnson and them, and kind
Yeah,
of got a chance to sit in, sit in, say what he played for. Wait, I got like maybe two measures with him on guitar, and then he went like to the soundboard, and
yeah.
it was just like But I had that one, that moment in the MPG Music Club, but it was crazy, bro. Like we was just super duper like, yo, let's go for it. Let's find out, that young spirit, that crazy spirit, like you know,
Yeah, I
that
know
was
that
wild.
man. Just hungry, man. You just want to get heard, want to get seen, and want to get to the legend.
Yeah, yeah, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool
Hold on,
story.
Oh yeah.
we got another person
Oh
entering.
snap.
Let's see who we got here. We got another young lady that was there at the show too, man. That I brought up on the stage with me.
Okay.
Asked her to come on the show, talk about her experience. Miss Heaven Diane's in the house. Heaven, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Sorry I'm late to the party.
You're good. Welcome to the party. How you
Thank you.
doing?
I'm doing so well. So well. Grateful. Thank you.
Very cool. Heaven, we got the crew. All of us were there for the festivities. Myself, and then there's DJ Funkclone with the blue shirt on, and then brother Chris Rob there, who was also on the stage with us dancing, dancing our asses
What's
off.
up?
Right on. Hey.
What's up? How you doing, Heaven?
I'm doing so good.
How you doing,
Yeah,
him?
everybody be having. She was on stage with us, getting our bird on.
That's right.
Yeah, so we were just all kind of just chopping it up, talking about our experience. And brother Chris here, he was talking about the first time he finally got to First Avenue, and then also got a chance to kind of meet Prince, real briefly. So we were just talking about that as you kind of stepped into the room here.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So how's everything going with you?
Everything's going good. Every time I go to Paisley Park, it's the hardest thing for me is to tap back into the reality of coming
Hmm.
back home, coming back to LA.
Yeah,
Because you got to shake off the purple dreams and you don't want to.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's been obviously with what's happening in downtown LA, it's been a lot to take on. But
yeah,
having gratitude for life, no matter what, is just what I tend to move forward with. Grateful for experiences that I had when I was out in Minnesota, and coming back to LA. A lot of people, complimenting just the fact that it's hard to get out there. It's hard to get away sometimes, but it's worth it.
yeah,
So yeah, you know,
yeah. So how many times have you been to Minnesota?
this would be my fourth time.
For a trip? Okay.
Yeah.
So this trip, how does it compare to the other trips? This last
Well,
trip.
this time, thanks to you, John, some bucket list off that bucket lists were checked. Doing the bird with
Yeah.
the time at Paisley Park on stage, like
It's
plus the
Yeah.
crazy, right?
family,
Right.
Jesse Johnson,
Mind blowing, right?
a dream, unbelievable dream. It was
Yeah.
just amazing. As I had mentioned to you before, seeing the family with all original members, it's just
Yes.
that was incredible. But the first time I went, I actually drove cross country and back.
Mm.
And I stopped in Paisley Park and I did the tour. This was, about 6 years ago. So, I didn't start going to Celebration until about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's always a beautiful experience. I always wish that I can stay longer than I end up staying. There's never enough time.
Yeah. How long did you stay out there this time?
I was only there for the weekend, just the
Just for,
celebration weekend. Yeah,
okay. Okay.
3 days.
Okay. So kind of like same as me. I was there from Friday to Sunday, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. My man Funkclone over here, he was there. How long were you there? Like 5 days?
Yeah, I was there the 5 days from Thursday to Monday.
Yeah, yeah. So you were there at the concert too, man. You had experienced a lot of stuff going on at Paisley Park, but I want to jump to the concert. How did you feel about the concert? What was your take on it?
Overall, I thought it was excellent. I thought all five acts were good. I'm not really familiar with the two first acts, Johnny Venus, and I forgot the girl's name. They were okay, but yeah, the family reunion that was historical. I think all of us been waiting years for that. It finally happened,
Hmm.
and then Jesse Johnson. Well, he's always good. I've seen him a number of times, and he's always put on a good show.
Mm.
And then, of course, the time. I mean, they're like they're always good. I don't think I've ever seen a bad show from the time. So
Yeah,
it was a great show overall that night. It was really good. I was really enjoying it, and I'm a little jealous because you all got to go up there and dance on stage, and I didn't go up there, but my wife was up there with you all dancing. So I'm a little jealous.
would you have came up there and danced?
I would have gone up there.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. See, I would have never thought, man. Okay. Well,
That's all good. I was messing
well,
with you, but yeah, but my wife got to go up there. She was up there on the stage with all of you, so
yeah.
that's
Well,
all good.
I was told to grab some pretty ladies, so
I got you.
you're not a pretty lady. Hey, hey,
She,
Chris.
she represented for me, so I'm good.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Chris just comes in fresh off a plane and just walks in and goes straight to the stage.
That shit was
that's
crazy, bro.
that's that's
When I
that's some
say,
Batman type stuff right there, man.
yeah, yeah, I had my gate. Y'all know that long walk when you come into Minneapolis airport, like when you go into your flight,
Yep.
as it's like that long, like I
Yep.
mean, I felt my gate was like the last gate
Oh
at the end of the
man.
thing. So I'm like hustling. I'm like, man, like I missed because I was telling them that I got delayed. My flight, I
Oh,
had all these delays. So I'm watching the show on live screen, like the Prince
yeah,
account
yeah.
went on, and I'm watching like little clips. I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing this whole thing. So by the time I get off, I'm like just trying to see if I can catch anything, catch some of Jesse.
Hmm.
I'm wondering, I don't know if the time's on because now I'm calling people to see what's going on. Nobody's answering the phones because the service is bad. So now I'm just like in a state of like just running. And I just love that I can even still feel that. That's how ill I guess Prince, the whole energy was that you can even still be that enthusiastic about wanting to see something
Right.
and just be like part of something. Like, yeah, I don't want to miss it. Like I'm literally like trying to jump on a flight last minute and and like, yo, what's up with this layup? How long is it gonna be? Like the excitement, the anticipation.
You was running through the airport like OJ.
Bro, I was not trying. And then the Uber I called the Uber. It was like 7 minutes. I'm like, 7 minutes. Yo, I was so stressed, and I'm trying to get out there, and it all worked out, man. It just,
Yeah.
like again, I got to, see my boys. The Time is my favorite band ever. You
So
know what I'm
when
saying?
did you actually get there? Did you get there to see any of Jesse's show
I
or
missed all of Jesse, bro.
Oh man.
oh
Who
wow.
who is who? I'm gonna be honest. I really wanted to see Jesse because I've never like Jesse. Jesse just I've seen Jesse rock with D'Angelo multiple times, but
Nice. Wow.
but I never so I've seen him get off and get down, but I wanted to see him do his music and I know everybody. You don't have to tell me how dope it was because everybody told me. And I knew it would be, and I'm glad that he had a phenomenal show. Like yeah, I'm gonna see him, sooner than later. But I had never seen him live.
Mm.
So
Jesse had them jokes. He had everybody rolling. That was real cool. He can roast pretty well too. I was not expecting that. That was
Yeah.
great.
I
Yeah.
didn't, that Questlove podcast that he did. That's when
Yeah,
I first got to see kind of his personality. I was like, yo,
yeah,
this dude, I love this dude.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
I could only imagine. But it was interesting. I thought about when he was talking about him and Prince riding around, listening to there's a riot going on, and I thought about that. That's the first thing I thought about when Sly. I was like, damn, man, like Sly, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, Sly. Mhm.
Mhm.
you know,
yeah.
I,
Yeah.
That was devastating to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So like, kudos to him for inspiring them, those legends, those young legends, to become who they became.
yeah,
And the fact that he said when he was like, "There's a riot going on," was our Bible, and that I've been kind of moving around, but I've been meaning to like just really sit with that
Mhm.
album now that he's gone and just.
hmm
I've already, I've listened to it, obviously, but I just really just listen now, you know,
Mhm.
and just take that in.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That album has a serious effect on me, Chris, because
Mm-hmm.
there's two albums, Stan and There's a Riot Going On. Stan,
Mm-hmm.
number one, because my pops gave me that record when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and it had no cover. I know we're about the same age. I had one of those portable suitcase turntables as a kid, and that
Mhm.
and that
Oh
kept
yeah.
me quiet. So in order for my pops to keep me quiet and set me down, keep my peace, he gave me some of his records. And the records he gave me, he just gave me the records. He gave me about 5 records, and Stan was one of them, and they were just the
Mm.
records, no covers. So I played that record over and over and over as a kid between maybe 4, 5, 6, and 7 with no
Mm.
cover, not knowing what they looked like. And that album, let me tell you, it taught me a lot about patience because I kept going back to Sex Machine, kept going back to Sex Machine. So I'm like, well, what a 5, 6-year-old kid is going to listen to a song that's 13 minutes long? I
Mm.
So that taught me a lot about patience
Mm.
with
Yeah.
long songs. But it wasn't
Mm.
until one day, some 5, 6, 7 years later, I got, my father had a shitload of albums, right? And he had a whole separate room. I get to thumbing through them and looking for something to listen to. And the very back of the box, man, there was that cover. I finally saw it. I probably was about 9, 10 years old. And I finally saw the stand cover. I saw the There's a Riot Going On cover first because my mother played that album so much. And
Mm.
it was one of those albums that when my mother, had a little liquor in her system, she put she put that record on, it was always a vibe when my mother threw that record on, and I saw that record, and when I opened that record up, and I saw them all playing, you can see the pictures of Larry Graham and Cynthia, they got the individual pictures of them playing live, and I saw that in effect. I was like, wow, this is what they look like. And I saw Sly with all that hair in front of the organ, and you could see the crowd. I don't know if you remember that gatefold inside of
Mhm.
that album, and then you turn it around, and it had all that montage of those pictures on the back of that album, and I fell in love with that record as a kid. So that record
Mm.
kind of
Right.
sat a lot as a kid. Those two records have a deep connection with as a kid, man. So those are two of my favorite albums from him.
Right. And and look at the irony that the day that he passes is one of the days that the riots that were kind of happening here in LA this past weekend.
Very true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
There's
true.
a riot going on.
Mm.
Isn't
Very
that
true.
crazy?
That's wild.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys remember the track listing on the album? There's a song called "There's a Riot Going On," but there's no noise.
Right.
It
Yeah.
it,
Silent.
it reads 000.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, interesting shit, right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris,
Dude
that album
was
is something else.
Yeah.
there's another album that people don't talk about ever, and I don't know why. Um, Back on the Right Track.
Back on the right
Mm.
track. Yeah.
That came out like in
Where
82, 83,
That's
right?
the last
so,
album.
Mm.
Yeah.
but people like it's just that to me. Like I mean, the other ones are classics, but that's just like one that I just really lived with a lot.
Okay.
And I've
Okay.
been Tribe sampled a couple joints from there. I mean, dude was just man. It's unbelievable like how ahead of his time he was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like everybody was like jacking his and people, you know, the musicians know, the heads know, you know what I'm saying? But people don't really understand. You know, people like they talk about Prince and they talk about, oh, you know, it's like James Brown and he's borrowing from this part. But they very, very, very rarely talk about Sly. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like how much people borrow from him and how ill he was, just how, you know, phenomenal how he was, how um innovative he was as a singer, as a multi instrumentalist
Yeah.
with the band, really putting all the feminine, like you know, mixing the male, black, white,
Yeah.
um, male, female configuration. Like he was just such a just bigger than life artist,
Mm-hmm.
and it's you know, I feel like the it's interesting time in that he went all this time like just off the grid and not really being, you know, being acknowledged, but not really being acknowledged. And then finally he gets this documentary, and quite, you know, they do the Black Genius documentary, and
Mm-hmm.
then he's gone.
Yeah.
It's really wild, man. And he was just it's deep. I was in the elevator with him once, bro. I was at the Grammys in '06, and I didn't even know it was him. I
Wow.
was at with John Legend, right? We did this thing, and there was this dude working on the committees, and I was walking with him somewhere. And we got on the elevator, and this dude, this tall ass dude, gets on. He's got the hoodie, and he's got his coat like Kenny South Park. He got the hoodie like over his shit like that, and he got on. He's in front of me, and I'm not thinking about nothing. You know, I seen him, but he gets off the elevator, and we going up. The dude was like, "That was Sly Stone." I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" You know, that shit was like, cause you know, what I'm saying, obviously, I would have been like, "Yo, what's up, Sly?" Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I remember he came out that year. I remember he came out the year at the Grammys, and everybody was kind of tripping, like because he just looked so different. And, you
Is
know,
that when he performed? He had the mohawk going
he
on.
had the
He had that
mohawk.
yellow
Yeah,
mohawk.
he came out, and when he was like a drum roll, he came out, and everybody's just kind of
Right.
out because he just looked, you know, he had just been through a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, dude was like, rest in peace, brother. Thank you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
talking to us, Sly, for sure. Yeah, we dig you. We've been digging on you forever, man. Absolutely. And we'd still be digging on you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got a favorite album or a song, Heaven by Sly?
Well, I was just gonna say, and reminiscing about that, you know, obviously, Family Affair was on. I don't know. I can't even tell you on repeat, along with like Ohio Players, Heat Wave,
Yeah.
you know, all Motown. Um, what's the name of the track that I really like? You Caught Me Smiling.
That's
You Caught Me
Mhm.
Smiling. That's one of my favorite tracks.
Right.
And I think like the irony of that album and how it's still relevant today, and it's the amount of people in this generation who don't recognize how much of that music was so impacted or impactful on those that back then that were dealing with similar issues. You know, that's still relevant today. And Sly was a voice that really tried to bring the, you know, bring everyone together. And that's something that I'm grateful about my childhood, my upbringing. You know, I had my baby, the person that babysat me was a Black woman that would take me to church with her. But when we get home, you know, she'd be bumping Tina Marie in the background while she cooked, you know, and like that's just something that, you know, a lot of people I think my age didn't have. You know, that's a blessing, the music portion of it all, you know, being exposed to stuff like that. So yeah, Sly's always been in my life. Prince has always been in my life. Rick James, Tina Marie, you know, all I can go on and on. I can do this all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about you, Paul? A favorite Sly album or song?
I'm probably gonna have to go with Family Affair. I think that's definitely one of my favorites. Sex Machine is a good one too, man.
Yeah.
But I think Family Affair, I think that's probably my favorite Sly song right there. Yeah. Just so deep and how it's actually autobiography, you know, it's like an autobiography of his life. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, he's basically talking about himself,
Mm.
how it's like two people, you know, one of them is like doing the good things, doing the right thing, the other one's kind of doing the more mischievous thing. He's basically talking about himself in that song. Really, it's really genius how he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the groove is slamming. You know, it's a great song, just slamming.
Yeah, sure.
But that There's a Riot Going On album, that's pretty deep. That's a deep album right there, man. It's pretty. It's pretty. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. That album is pretty crazy, pretty
Yeah,
hardcore.
it's pretty amazing how that album in a lot of areas is so badly mixed, and a lot of those that know the history of the album know about the tapes and the re-recording and the re-recording
Right,
and the various musicians that were on it or not on it. So everybody knows that if you really know the story, you know, it's
right.
one of them deals. But the way it came out and the way it is, you know, it's still like if you listen to perfect example, if you listen to the song "Time" on that
Hmm.
album, you can hear the hissing of the tape. It's like really bad, almost like a flangel sound going on,
Yeah,
like it was being erased as you're listening to it. It's really strange. It's
yeah.
so bad, but it's so good. It's like a bad car accident. You can't help but look at it or listen to it. But it's like, man, why can they mix it? It is so perfect. It
Or
just
like the song "Thank You for Talking to Me, Africa." That's on that album,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's so much hiss on that thing,
yeah.
on that song. It's like, you know, the drums and the bass, they sound like they're underwater, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and the
It's
guitar kind of does this
yeah,
thing where it's coming in and out of speakers, and it gets loud and almost piercing at points. It's a crazy mix.
it is.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways, that album kind of reminds me of Funkadelic's "Free Your Mind, Your Ass for Follow." It's kind of along that same line, just real dark and like rough sounding, you know?
we are talking 1971, so I mean, pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So
Those two
everybody
albums
was
remind me of each other.
funking it up in 71, man.
Absolutely, man. It was those two albums just they're like related to each other in a crazy way,
Yeah,
sound wise. Yeah, pretty crazy. But yeah, Sly is definitely going to be missed. That's for sure. Um, he's one of the forefathers of funk, you know. So I think his status is it's not going anywhere. People are never going to forget about Sly Stone.
absolutely not. Yeah,
Yeah, man,
yeah,
it's solidified.
In time though,
yeah.
in time. I
I,
mean that song. for
No.
me.
Just the way
I
it
was
comes
like,
on.
just that you know, you talking about favorite side joints, like just what he's talking about in that song, just about just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many layers in there.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, I mean, that's what I really appreciate about him as well. He just was kicking all this wisdom
Mhm.
and kicking all this, you know, just I mean, you know, he was being used. He was a prophet. Can't
Yeah.
strain my brain.
Yeah.
Where he was just like, you know, just stuff. It's just, I mean, he was just the everyday guy that's giving you his tools for survival.
Yeah.
And you can only imagine, like even through his hardships, you know, this dude, we you know, it's kind of wild because we were kind of aware that he was around, that he was recording music and he was doing these things. He was survive. Like the fact that he made it to 82 and, you know, with all the, you know, stuff that he
Yeah.
did, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of wild,
Yeah.
you know, him and George.
Yeah.
And the fact that they, you know, they had that, whatever, they found that balance to walk on the wildest side of life and to have that, yet have that principles for how to survive in this world and
Mhm.
how to be cool and how to, you know, keep a positive outlook on things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yet they went through like the rock bottom and still somehow kind of ended up, you know, on top. You know, he got some of his royalties back. He ended up cool with his family. Had a documentary. Like he ended up like saying like Rick James came out. You know, he went through hell and he came out at the end of it. He
Yeah.
came out legendary. It's just, you know, it's deep how these brothers
Yeah.
went through their thing. You know, the genius, the weight of being that genius, of being that phenomenal,
Yeah.
and somehow finding your way back to square one. It's crazy, crazy story.
Indeed.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Rick James, that's another story too, right there. Yeah, you know, if you read his book, I don't know if any of you have read his book, but it's pretty wild. That guy did a lot. He w- he went
I
through a
never
lot
read the
and
book.
did a lot, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, all these people have some pretty amazing stories, and a lot of them
I,
aren't here
s-
anymore, you know.
mm. I saw Rick when he got out of jail. I saw the concert. He did a concert in Chicago,
Mm.
and I saw him. That shit was crazy.
Yeah,
It was crazy. That's the only time I saw him. And I had this gig, and I got there late because I couldn't. I was trying to get out the gig, and I was like, yo, I was like trying to get. And the dude was like, bro, you can't leave to go see Rick James. And but I went like he was like halfway through the show, but I still called him dude. You know, a lot of the classics. But he came, and I saw him. You know, we waited outside, and he was in a limo, and saw him drive by and all that, just kind of waving to the people. It was like right when he got out of jail. It was, you know, it was deep. You know, that's another legend, brother. Like, you know, all our legends, man. Damn, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
Everybody's gonna leave Earth. It's crazy.
not just that. It's just that
yeah,
we know like George is like damn near like the last one. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Of the Mount Rushmore of funk.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
George
And
and Boots.
Bootsy, Bootsy's
Yeah,
still
Boots.
here too. Don't
Yeah.
forget about Bootsy.
Can't. But Boosie's not even performing now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
I'm not taking that from
for
him, but I'm not saying, but Bootsy, like, you know, he can't perform anymore. You know, I'm not taking that, you know, like, not to say that he's dead. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we love Bootsy. Please be alive. You know, Bootsy is like one of the greatest performers ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But yeah, I hear you though. Yes, I mean, I'm just talking about. But even Bootsy was like, I'm talking about like that. The guy. I mean, we know Bootsy because of George, and I'm
mm,
saying like George and Sly
yeah,
and Prince and
yeah,
James. You know, who that's kind of like my funk Rushmore, my funk
yeah.
Mount Rushmore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right.
my Rushmore is James, Sly, George, and Jimmy. 'Cause I think Jimi Hendrix was a big
Mm.
part of funk too. People don't want to give him that credit, but
That's
I
true.
think he was a big part of the funk as well. So
That's valid.
he belongs on that mountain as far as I'm concerned as well.
That's
Especially with the
valid.
Band of Gypsy stuff he did, before he passed. That was funk right there. I don't care what anybody says. That was funk.
Everything he did was
Yeah.
fun. Everything he did was fun. But I feel you.
And
That's when
Miles too.
he was making a
When he
little
went
more
electric in the
blacker.
late
Yeah.
'60s, he got funky, but it was funk. You know, it
It's
was some
funny
pretty
that you
crazy
say
stuff.
that, because I felt when Jesse was performing, he was doing a lot of blues licks, and I don't know if you follow blues, but
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy followed blues, and even with Band of Gypsies, like he was really funky. They did, I think, an Impressions cover. I can't remember the name of the song, but I just remember thinking to myself, like, damn, Jesse's channeling Hendrix right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
the same way too.
Felt a lot of that. Yeah.
Especially, did you see Heaven when Jesse first came out and he turned to the Marshalls and he started turning them up?
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's so Jimmy right there. He just
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
turning up the knobs and shit. I was like, oh yeah, it's finna
Well, the
go.
Right.
outfit.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
front
the
The
outfit.
wheels
outfit
were
too.
hanging.
The outfit
He
too.
was
Mhm.
Yeah.
turning all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit up.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah, he turned his back to us and was just like, I said, oh yeah,
Right.
it's coming.
That's right.
That outfit. He definitely had that Jimi Hendrix, Ernie Isley thing going.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know.
yeah,
Yeah. He was looking. He was definitely. Yeah. He was in a good mood that night.
Mhm.
It looked like it. He played like he was in a good mood.
yeah.
It was a great night, man.
I
Yeah.
like
People that missed
I
it.
like the new arrangement of "Be Your Man" too. I like how
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
joint an arrangement. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
and
real
then
special.
the family, man, they did some album cuts, man. They did "River Run Dry," and
Right. Mhm.
man, I
Yeah.
was just like, wow. And then the instrumental track, I didn't recognize that. That wasn't from the album, but that
I was
instrumental
just going to
track,
bring that up. They did like two
whatever that
instrumentals that I never
was,
heard.
Mhm.
it was hella good.
Oh yeah, it was good. There were those two instrumentals, man. I had never heard them before. I don't know if they
Yeah,
came from the F Deluxe albums or what, but those were slamming.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Those
Mhm.
were some good. That was some good stuff.
yeah,
With
man.
Eric Leeds up there and everything. It was just
Mhm.
yeah. It was a great night. It was a great
Yeah,
night.
I
yeah.
didn't think that they were gonna play Desire, and that's my favorite
Oh
track
yeah.
off
Yeah,
of
that
that.
was another one. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
that, and I liked that they threw in kind of this, because it wasn't completely instrumental. It was like reggae slash funky, and it was calm. And then I think was it Mutiny? They broke it down. They got really funky. It was one track, and I was just like, wow, they still got it. They're really tight as a band. They're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
tight. It was a great show, man.
It did. High Fashion. That's another one of
Hmm.
my favorites on there. Yeah, I was so glad that they did most of the album. They didn't do all the album, but they didn't
Yeah.
do the instrumentals from the album.
Yeah, they did
But
a large number of the songs I never thought I would hear live ever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Screams of Passion was important for me.
Yeah.
That was
Mm.
bucket list.
So
Yeah,
Evan, you never make it to the vibrato shows then, huh?
Right here at Herb Alpert's.
Yeah.
I've been to, let me see, this past year I went in October. I know that they performed in April, but I was in New York.
Okay.
And in the past year, because they usually do October or April, but I've been there.
Okay.
You know,
Because I think
Yeah.
he did Screams of Passion a couple of times here and there when
Hmm.
Yeah,
they do it. Yeah.
and he always does Nothing Compares to You, doesn't he? He does it out here too in
Yeah, he
North
does that one all
Carolina.
the time.
He
And then
always does
yeah,
that one.
and then definitely Mutiny here and there
Mm,
comes
yeah,
out. Yeah.
Hmm.
he always does Mutiny.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's about all that I can remember that he does when he comes here to LA, from what I can remember. Yeah, those three songs kind of stand out, but the rest of the album I never really heard live before.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I've only heard like maybe two or three songs off the Family album
Mm.
when he comes out here, and it was good to see Jerome there. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
You're
uh,
bound.
yeah, that was a real, you know, that completed it for me. Just having all five of them, along with Oliver Lieber and Jason up there, um and Kirk Johnson on the drums. It was just a great show overall. I was really I was I was I was fine with it. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Great night.
great night. Great
So
night.
Chris,
They need to
so,
do more of those.
so Chris, you flew out or left as soon as the concert was over, or left the next day, or
No, I went to the Purple Highs and all that. I
that
went to
same night?
the party. No, the next night, the
Oh, the
purple,
next day.
the
Okay.
Dudley's party, and then I flew out like 6 a.m. I actually went to LA. I went to the BET Awards.
Oh, okay. So you was here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I popped in there for a minute, and um, I went to see the Roots on Sunday.
Okay, the picnic, the Roots picnic.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Hollywood Bowl.
that was
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy, bro. Red and
Okay.
Meth, Lil Kim, DJ
Wow.
Quick, E40.
Oof.
Quick blew my mind, bro. I hadn't really seen him do his thing live. I saw him do his thing with DLC. They when the DLC documentary came out, he was there in New York. They did this thing out here, and he came out and did some of his music. But I
Hmm.
had never seen. No, he said he did DLC's music. He did like Funky Enough, and he did.
Yeah.
Oh, he
But
did.
yeah, but I saw he did this time to see him do his music with the Roots, and it was he was that was crazy. Were you guys in the town hall meeting?
I went
The
to the
the meeting,
panels.
the
You,
vault
you,
panel?
you mean the panels?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the panels on
What what
everything.
do you what did you think about the panel, the vault
Yeah, they were good.
panel?
The first day they actually interviewed Doug Henders, who did the artwork for the Around the World in a Day album, and
Mm.
they spoke with Laura Lupima. She was head of the art department at Warner Brothers at the time. So she's the one that came up with a lot of the stuff for Purple Rain, like the fonts for the all the typesetting and all that. Those were a lot of those were her idea.
I'll get out.
Um, Doug Henders, the infamous face that you see on the When Doves Cry video, and that's in the inner sleeve of the Purple Rain album of the
Yes.
vinyl. That was his design. He came up with
Mm.
that, and
Wow.
uh, they laid a myth down that everybody thought that he designed that face after Stevie Nicks, and he was there to put the truth right and say that's not true. He just made it as a androgynous face. It could be a man, it could be a woman. That was his goal. That was his how he designed the face for the When Doves Cry face and all that, or the Purple Rain face. Um,
What did he say about Around the World in a Day? The cover.
how he came up with all of that. Well, Prince pretty much wrote down, and they had it displayed there. His handwritten notes. Uh, he had 18 points or 19 points of what kind of stuff he wanted on the picture. Like he's the one that said, I want a clown that's juggling the world. I want like a little black baby, naked black baby. I want a person holding an apple. He can't that was Prince's all that was Prince's ideas. And it was up to Doug Henders to come up with all of that stuff. So
Mm.
what you see on the album cover is basically what Doug came up with, uh, uh, going by Prince's instructions. So that was really interesting. Um,
Mm.
Here's a crazy thing that the little boy, the black baby that's naked, he modeled that after it's an infamous picture from World War II when the bombs were dropped on in Hiroshima in Japan, and it's that infamous picture of a girl naked and she's like running away from all the destruction. I'm sure you've probably all seen it sometime in history books or something like that. He modeled that the little baby after that picture.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I always thought they were pulling a little bit from Sergeant Pepper's a little bit in a way.
Uh,
Slightly. No, I
yeah,
mean it's not a copying at all, but I don't know, it just kind of they kind of remind me of each other.
they kind of brought that up, and it was kind of mentioned that it was kind of like that might have been the idea, but it wasn't directly the idea. They just kind of like they wanted to be original with it, but yeah, it did have that Beatles Sergeant Pepper type of feel to it. But I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for. Another special thing that they said that was really special. The Purple Rain album cover with the flowers all laying there on a white backdrop. Those flowers, each one of those flowers was placed by Prince himself, meticulously placed. It wasn't like they just threw a bunch of flowers on the ground and took a picture. Prince placed each one of those one by one in the way that they were sitting.
What?
And then they took the picture.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
Now I
that
gotta
was
go look at
pretty.
that picture again.
That was
Damn.
that was a little hard when we heard that kind of that touched my heart a little bit. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is the kind of guy he was. He wanted to place each one the way he
Mm-hmm.
wanted it placed. Each flower, each one of them.
Wow.
So that was special. That was probably one of the most special things I heard that day. Was that right there, that story. Um yeah, they talked about the family came up and they talked about how they got together and how Prince got them all together and they talked about the infamous meeting when the time broke up and Prince pretty much turned around and said, "And Paul, I want you to be the lead singer." And how Jesse stormed out of the meeting. He was done. He had a record deal waiting anyways. And so Prince pretty much said, "I want you to be the lead singer. We have to go after that song. We have to go after that Duran Duran money." That's what he told Paul.
Mm.
So that's what the basis of the family concept was about. He just wanted to go after that money, that mid '80s sound. He wanted to go after that. Um, and let's see, and then everything else is pretty much was like what everybody's heard, over the years, different places and things like that, different interviews. The next day were the panels. They were talking about the vault, the
I
future of the
was there
vault,
for that.
what's going
Yeah, I
on
was
with
there.
all of that.
Yeah, I was there for that meeting for
There
that
were some
that one.
interesting things to be said. Um, First of all, uh, they said that all the stuff in the vault, all the audio and video that they've been going through for the last 7 years, uh, they're like 45% done with it.
Wow.
So they've
What?
digitized
Yeah.
almost half, but not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
So
And
there's still 50.
it was all like 8 tracks and
Yeah,
VH
it was
every
8 tracks,
form of media that you can imagine. Like it was
every form of media, eight
yeah,
tracks to actual
cassettes,
2-inch tapes,
2 inch,
1-inch
yeah,
tape,
Damn.
cassettes, videotapes, dat tapes.
dat tapes.
Uh,
Yeah. It was,
every format you could think of, Prince used, and
and it's all in LA now. They moved it to
yeah,
LA, and they
they
said
moved
some
it.
real.
They moved it one
They said
night.
they didn't know where it was when it was moved. They didn't know
Well,
that it was moved
here's what
at some
Londell
point.
said, because Londell, he was representing the actual siblings at that time, and Co-America was running the estate at that point. This was like 2018, I think, 17 or 18. That's when it actually happened. And it was a thing where Co-America, they're the ones that made the decision about this. All this needs to be put in a better place, that in a more secure place. So the story goes is that it was a thing. They came in one night without anybody knowing, including Londell McMillan, came in one night and just emptied out the vault and trucked it out of Minneapolis and trucked it over here to L.A. And they did it all in one night, right underneath the noses of all the family and the estate. Supposedly, that's what they were saying. So the family was not very happy with that, and at the time, neither was Londell. But since then, Londell, who's now running the estate, basically, he's actually seen that that was actually probably the best thing to do. So he's all good with it now, obviously, because they're slowly releasing stuff, and so he's okay with it now, I guess. So yeah, all the stuff in the vault is at Iron Mountain here in Los Angeles, and they're going through everything there,
Interesting.
and they've gotten through they've digitized 45% of it. That was what he said.
Wow.
So
We also had that conversation about, they were asking questions about which was, I thought was interesting. That oh my God, hell broke out in the room, right? They were like, "What do you guys think about unfinished
oh
stuff that feels unfinished, and
right
letting young producers, new producers come in and kind of like finish it up,
Mm.
or kind of like doing remixes of it to
Uh-oh.
like kind of get it to a younger audience,
Mm.
and everybody just lost their mind, which was crazy to me. And I wanted to talk so much about it on that part
I was
because I
one of
was
the
just
ones
like,
raised
yeah.
I'm one of the ones that raised my hand against it. I'm like, no, just keep it as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
was one of those.
To me, what was interesting to me, I was one of those. I was like, I didn't see a problem with it, and the reason why I said that was because, and when I say unfinished, I'm not even saying it was unfinished. They were talking about basically like remixing Prince stuff, like putting it in the hands of different producers,
Yeah.
to remix stuff, and
Right.
to reach but it was, the whole point was to reach a new generation
Mm-hmm.
of listeners, and I was like, what's the big deal? Because if you
Right.
have the original, I mean, like we always have the original shit. It's just like with anything else. We hear like, how many versions of "I Want You" have you heard? You know what I'm saying? That's freaked by different, like this artist or this, you know, by um, this producer, that where they're remixing. You hear it all the time. You hear different versions. It's the same thing. It's like, what the original is. You have access to the original. When you want to hear the remix, I didn't think that was a big deal, and I thought,
Mm-hmm.
old girl, when the young girl said at the end of it, she was like, "Hey, I feel like you should let people sample the music." I felt like that is a little bit more suspect to me
Mm-hmm.
to let somebody remix it,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because somebody can take this song that's just has this kind of spiritual connotation to it, the
Mm.
Prince did, and just make it freak it in a way that's just totally something he
Right.
wouldn't rock with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Versus somebody like, okay, you put it home in the hands of Tyler Creator. Say you take a song, When Doves Cry. Hey, look, you make this for a new generation. We have the old shit. We can always hear that. We can hear the extended
Mm-hmm.
versions. We can hear Prince's versions of it. Who cares if it brings them in, if it carries the legacy of
Mm-hmm.
Prince? I didn't really see a problem with that, but everybody just kind of went like ape shit about when it happened. Like, no, it should be left as it is. And it was like, yeah, but you have it's just like you have a choice to listen to it or not listen to it.
Mm.
It's not for
Right.
you. It's not for you for a person who grew up with Prince. It's for
Mm-hmm.
people
Right.
who might not, gravitate to Prince to the sound as it is now.
Mm.
It's for them. You know what I'm saying? Like a newer, just to hear a newer sound to it. But what were your thoughts on that?
Well, and then don't forget Prince when he was alive. He let certain artists remix some of his stuff. Don't forget Digital Underground or
Shock G, yeah,
Shock G redid Love Sign on the
Mm.
yeah.
Crystal Ball album. He did a
Mm-hmm.
remix on that. The Neptunes, I believe, they remixed. I think The Greatest Romance. I think is that the song that
Hmm.
they remixed? I know they
I can't
remixed
recall.
something. You know.
I
What
think
was
that
that?
was it. I think that was it.
And I know Q-Tip did some remixes on some of his stuff too. This was all approved by Prince himself. So I mean, I think a lot of me, I'm just gonna speak for myself. I'm cool with it. I just don't think that should be the main focus. I think that's my thing on it.
Right.
Like that 22-year-old girl that got up and she was talking about that they should allow more hip hop
Mhm.
artist remixes stuff. I'm okay with that, but I don't want it to be overdone. I guess that's my view on it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
Right.
it
respect
could
that.
it could get oversaturated
Right.
by all, and that's the part me personally I would be afraid of at
Right.
the age I'm at. That's how I feel. You know, I
You
think there
know,
should be a balance
yeah.
on all of that. That's my opinion on it. The second thing was, I remember this. This was like around '99 when Raven to the Joy Fantastic came out. Prince actually was going to put out a series of discs or files with samples from his music that you could buy. Do you guys remember that? He actually had like a little commercial about it on his MPG Music Club, if I believe. You
Vaguely.
remember that?
I vaguely
It was
remember
like
that.
it
Yeah.
was like a sample series of samples from his music that was going to be license free. That you pay the $700. I think the fee was $700, and you got like I don't know how many samples of his music, and because you paid the $700, now it's like you could do whatever you want with these samples of his. But then all of a sudden it didn't happen. It's like he changed his mind. I don't know if y'all remember that. This was like around 2000,
Vaguely,
99,
vaguely,
2000.
vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to what you're saying, even Prince, I believe, kind of had second thoughts about the whole thing. I guess
Mhm.
because he took it back, he ended up not releasing that series, and it's in the vault too. I'm sure it is. The third thing I want to say is, so how about they just release everything at the same, in different ways. Release some stuff for hip hop or remixes, hip hop remixes, along with the way they sounded, the way Prince originally released them. Why can't we have both? You know,
Agreed.
please everybody.
That
You know
that
what I
was
mean?
my thoughts exactly. Exactly. Because the focus being so saturated on, the mixes,
Yeah,
it's why can't the deliverance of both be for this generation? And because it's straight from the vault, things that we have not heard for the older generation or just the heads or whatever,
right.
let people have the sacredness of that from the vault, and then still have the allowance of sampling or whatever for a younger crowd.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be good with that. I'd be totally good with that. You know, because there's actually some remixes that I probably at my age I would like. It's like, yeah, I like hearing his song like this. I'd like some of it. I'm sure I would. So how about just give us all of it?
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be
I
totally cool with that.
don't know if they when they were talking about that. I don't know if they were. That's where I got a little confused. I don't know if they were saying um so much. We're gonna let like Tyler the Creator finish the song, okay? Or I think they were saying um give people the rights to recreate like a Purple Rain with a trap beat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think they were talking about more like that than they were talking about.
I think they were talking about
You know
both
what I'm
things.
saying?
I think they were actually talking about like a lot of the unreleased original music that's unmixed that hasn't been mixed yet.
Mhm,
They were talking about bringing in outside producers
mhm.
to kind of like remix it the way they would do it. And I think that was why I raised my hand and I said, no, I think why don't we just keep it the way he intended it? That's where I raised my hand on that type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You know?
I just think that with that there may be I'm assuming that if there's something there that felt like um it wasn't a fully fleshed idea, you know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
say it's like you got like a
you lost his
chlorine
volume.
bacon skin type thing, you know? Um if you have something like that and it's so raw, you hear something dope, but it clearly doesn't sound like it was finished. Maybe he started working on it one day and he just didn't finish it.
Right.
Then most likely you would get. I would think that the state would put out, okay, here's how it was. Here's the original version. Here's the raw version because there's raw versions. and then they would have like a version where they put out of a new, like whatever. If they here's Pharrell's version of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you
I
like
got
here,
you.
bro. I would think that they would do that. You know what I'm saying?
And they kind of already have. If you like if you have you bought any of the box sets? Have you bought the box sets?
I've listened to the box sets. Yeah.
Okay, like the Sign of the Times one, for example, they have like I think they have a remix of Strange Relationship, like
Mhm.
a house mix of it. I believe they have that's the song that they have a house mix of that was done back in like 87, 88 that Prince approved. So
Right, right.
what you're saying, yeah, I mean they kind of have already kind of done that. And I would see a problem with that as long as kind of give us both flavors. Give us the original and give us the remix. Give us both. That's how I would
Yeah,
do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm good with that. But just so I'm just my thing is like, okay, so you're gonna take this song that he was working on and you're gonna strike some of the tracks that you don't want and you're gonna put it a different way. That to me is kind of like, well, that wasn't his original vision. I
Mhm.
want to hear the original vision that he had.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
First.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's my take.
I,
I'm
I,
with that too.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
that's one. I think that's one of the things. Well, when you went to go see the panel, I don't know. I don't know the amount of people that were in that room, but can you imagine like the rest of the world hearing this news and you know what I'm saying? And I mean that would piss a lot of people off. And I think one of the main concerns is that the songs, the music, the artist himself does not lose its authenticity. I think that's the main concern.
yes,
And me, like what you guys are saying is spot on because I know for me, one of the main things that draws me to his music, even now to this day, especially like that 81 through 87 period where we was using the Oberheim and the Linn drum, and all that kind of shit, the flange, and all that shit that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shit that I'm drawn to. So I want to hear whatever he was doing during that time period with those instruments because those
Mm-hmm.
instruments that I love how he programmed and how he plays. I still want to hear that shit, no matter how fucked up it is or
Mm-hmm.
was finished or was not finished. I still want to hear it because I like those instruments,
Mm-hmm.
along with what he
Mhm.
does with them.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
pretty much falls into my feelings exactly because like my favorite era of Prince is Dirty Mind Controversy era.
Mm,
And because he had such an indelible sound, it was like punk rock and most of like if you listen to Controversy, like Annie Christian sounds like it could come off of a Public Image Limited
yeah.
album. If you know Public Image Limited, like the extensive sound of that part of the 80s. And
Hmm.
it's like he did it in a way that how do we know so many other songs sound just like that he was like, oh, I'm just gonna leave this here, maybe use it for later, and it just collected dust. That type of stuff I know is probably sitting there. And
Oh yeah.
Tick Tick
kind of
Bang,
you
the original Tick
YouTube.
Tick Bang. Have you heard that, Kevin?
Yes, YouTube. I was just gonna say YouTube is like the as evident of that because if you go down the YouTube rabbit hole of like these demos, you know, I was having this conversation with someone at Celebration, what's your favorite demo? What's your favorite B-side? What's your favorite, version of Crucial? What's your favorite version of Wonderful Ass? Just all these. There's so many
Right,
different versions. There's so many things you go down the YouTube rabbit hole. Doesn't even probably scratch the surface of what we know is in the vault or what we don't know is in the vault. So,
right, right.
yeah. hmm
Well, so if you were at the panels, then I take it, right? You were there.
I actually wasn't at the panels. No.
Oh, you weren't.
No, I
Okay.
wasn't. No, I missed the panels. So,
Oh, okay.
mhm.
They had a representative from Sony Music up there as well. I forgot his name, but he was talking. He was up there talking about future releases as well, and he was just saying how the Prince archive or the Prince vault is one of the most extensive uh, vaults or unreleased music from any artist that he's ever seen. I mean, he was saying bigger than Bob Dylan, bigger than Miles, bigger than a lot of artists. He says that
Mm,
that Prince is the biggest one he's ever seen of
mm,
unreleased music. So that says a lot. And the fact that, like I've said, they've only digitized 45% of it in seven
mhm,
years. that man did a lot.
Yeah.
He did a whole lot,
Yeah.
you know, and there's so much more to discover that's in that vault. Um, I, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's just pretty amazing how all that music came out of one man.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty. He was definitely channeled. He was channeled for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Yeah.
is stuff that's been sitting in there since like 1977,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Yeah.
lot of years of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
It's crazy.
And their thing is that they're trying to get it down as soon as they can because a lot of this stuff, as the years go by, it's going to start to deteriorate. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
especially a lot of that older stuff. So they need to get that stuff digitized as soon as possible.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
gonna sound like there's a riot going on album, right?
who knows, man? That guy had probably everything, under the sun in that vault. And they announced that later on this year they're going to release a special box set of Around the World in a Day.
Wow. Okay.
And next year they will release the special box set of Parade.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the opportunity at the block party to actually speak with a couple of Paisley Park people,
Oh yeah,
a couple of his
Charles,
relatives. Yeah.
Charles and his cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of confirmed and sealed the deal that that's what it's going to be. So,
Right, right. So there's some more stuff coming. They said they have a whole lot that's coming out. So I'm gonna put it like what Prince's cousin told me. He said, save your money. You're gonna need
You talking about
it.
John? You talking about Johnny?
Yeah.
Is that his death? Would be his nephew though, right?
No, he's his cousin. He told us that his father was Prince's father's brother.
His father was Prince's father. Okay.
Yeah, that John Nelson was his uncle. Prince's father was his uncle. That's what he told us. And that's his name. His name is Johnny Nelson.
yeah, it was some interesting conversation there at the block party. We got some good gems from them. So it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was really cool. So and those guys were all there in the panels. Obviously Londell was in the panel. And he also wanted to put to rest some of the stuff about the documentary that never got released by Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to say some things about that. Yeah, he
Boy,
he
did
kept
he.
saying he kept talking about it. Well, the reason why it's not getting released is because most of it was a bunch of stuff that wasn't true, and that
It can't be backed up. It can't be backed up. Yeah, like
yeah, it
there's
can't be
no.
backed up. Yeah, it
And
can't be
Prince is
backed
not here
up,
to
and a lot
defend
of it is
himself.
like, people were claiming that they wrote this and they wrote that when there's like, well, you really didn't write that. He didn't say any names, but he said a lot of that was happening, and he said, like, for example, Bobby Z was interviewed for like 7 hours, and out of those 7 hours, the director only used like 30 seconds of it.
What? Wow.
Yeah,
So I
he
guess it
said
was
they were
fun.
kind of saying something to the extent that a lot of people were saying, well, this is my baseline, this is this and that,
Yeah.
so I kind of collaborated that. And he was saying, as an attorney, he was speaking of the fact that, if people hire you to create, um, what you're doing is like a kind of like a work for hire, which
Right,
is debatable. You know what I'm saying? Depending upon if they signed a release like that.
right,
But I feel where he was coming from. I mean, obviously, Prince is taking, and that is kind of like normally how it goes. If I bring somebody in the studio and I'm like, hey, I want you to, if I don't give them a distinct line, and if they start grooving or something, I use what they do, but I pay them. You know what I'm saying? They don't necessarily like say, oh, I'm coming as a creator in this thing. I'm just a guitarist. You hired me.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it
You're
is
getting
that.
paid for the session, basically.
Right.
yeah,
And what you ultimately end up doing, the work that goes into producing a song and knocking it out is a whole nother you
Yeah.
know, monster versus somebody coming, collaborating with you and being like, okay, we're gonna go. 50-50 or
Right.
33% on this song. But that's normally like a collective effort. That is normally like more of a little bit of a premeditated situation. And so he said there were a lot of situations like that. And he kept saying about there were a lot of people um, from the photographers to different people who did, were involved, felt like, they should have more credit, or they should have, there were a lot of things that weren't ironed out, that were kind of like um but that's not even have to do with the documentary. But like he mentioned that there was a lot of things, there was a lot of red tape they were dealing with from different people he collaborated with, from the musicians to I guess the photographers and things like that. But also on the documentary, how people were telling these stories about things that happened, and that Prince not being here to defend himself, it was kind of unfair for people just to be like, be able to tell a story and just say something outrageous, and you really don't know. You can say anything,
Right.
and that's kind of like he felt like that's the way that the energy was being channeled in the questioning, and he was kind of berating people. I mean, Ezra. That's what they were saying. He was saying people's experience was that he was just kind of coercing the more salacious stuff, as opposed to making it about his music. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, none of us know without seeing a documentary what it really was about. But
Right.
apparently, that's why he felt that way. He felt.
Yeah. And that's pretty much why he's saying it got shut down. I guess they ultimately came to a decision that they didn't believe the director was doing the type of work that they wanted him to do on this documentary. So
And
they
they
cut it
also
off.
offered him an opportunity to correct it. They said they wanted some revisions, and he didn't want to do the revisions.
Yeah, they did say that, huh?
Hmm.
And
It
and
said
since
17
then,
pages or something like that.
yeah, and since then, this director, I forgot his name,
Ezra
but
Edelman.
okay, he's gone on like podcasts and things, and he's talking about how he spent 6 years on this documentary, researching and to filming it and all this, and all the time he put into it. And now it's got shut down, so he's making himself out to be the victim, obviously, on this. Um, but like I said, we weren't there behind the scenes. But if that's what was going down, and they just couldn't see eye to eye, then that's what happens. My opinion on it is, I my opinion, being a longtime Prince fan, I'm fine. I don't need to see a documentary about any of that type of stuff. To me, it's like, to me, his music is the true documentary.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't need to know about his dirty laundry or all that. I mean, why put that out there? I don't need to know about it. I don't know if you all want to know about it. I don't want to know about it. I really could care less. I just want to know about his music, and how he was inspired to do what he did, in his work ethic. That's what I want to know about. You
Look,
know?
man, I totally agree with you. And we mentioned some Mount Rushmore names. Chris and you brought up George Clinton, Sly Stone, and James and
Mm-hmm.
Rick James. Now those four names alone, Rick James, George Clinton, Sly Stone, and James Brown. Now just think about those four names and the problems they
Mm-hmm.
have gone through. And like Chris mentioned earlier, the downfalls and the rises and the downfalls, and just those four men alone that we publicly know. The jail time, the drugs, the drinking, the disappearing, the missing gigs, all that stuff between just those four guys, and how much we still love and embrace them so much, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what they've done. At this point, do we really give a damn about what Prince has done?
Exactly.
I think not.
Well,
Exactly.
you never. But the thing is about it is that that's the thing, is that you never know. You never know what people say. How outrageous people will go with stuff.
That's
And I
right.
think that we're at a place now where the artists are being canceled just for stuff. They even like we don't even know. Like the Rick James. Remember the sister came out and was talking about Rick James did this, or he said that he raped her, and this was like after he died.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Is there certain things that you never know what people are going to say and or do or what really happened, with different situations. So I think um it is definitely a sensitive subject for everybody, especially when someone is beloved as Prince is. I think
Yeah.
beyond James and Sly, and as deep as all those dudes were, as phenomenal as they were, I feel like Prince, um, you know, his spirituality, it was a bit more on the front street for us. You know what I'm saying? It was a bit deeper, if you will. You know what I'm saying? I know James Brown was in the church, and we know Sly and wrote, all the kind of prophetic stuff and all that. But I really feel like, like Prince, like really um was tapping into a whole nother thing spiritually for us that we could really witness, and we could really go through a bunch of his songs and say, this is definitely a spiritual song. This has a spiritual connotation to it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a little even deeper for artists like that, to hear like somebody say something outrageous about him, saying, oh, well, he did XYZ. This was a very damaging thing to his image, right? But at the same time, he was human. You know what I'm saying? The dude was like, none of this, because you're a musical genius, does not make you without sin. It doesn't make you a perfect person. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, it's just, yeah, he probably did do some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? That, probably could have lost it. I mean, we've heard all kind of different things. Who knows? But it's just the fact that it's, like you said, I don't necessarily want to hear 9 hours of the things that tearing Prince apart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was hoping that if he talked about something, there would be something deeper we could learn about Prince. I feel like I know
Right.
so much about Prince. I don't know how much
Uh-huh.
more somebody can really tell me about
Yeah.
Prince.
I know,
You know what
right?
I'm saying?
Right.
Unless they had
Right.
a personal conversation,
I
they
know.
was in a room. I don't know how
Yeah.
much historians can really give me about. Every time I see a Prince book, now I'm like, all right, well, what? I've opened up a couple of pages and then repeating something I've read already. So
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
all right.
You're
So now,
just
yeah,
basically looking for new pictures at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
or personal anecdotes, or you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
This afternoon, before we did this, earlier this afternoon, I was actually speaking with Jerome Benton on the phone, and I kind of mentioned this, what we're talking about right now. I kind of mentioned it to him. I said something. I said to Jerome, I said, if somebody like, if they're going to decide at some point in the future to like make a movie based on Prince about his life or whatever, I don't see how it can be done. Because there's so many parts to it. And then I said, including like you, and there's so many people involved with his legacy that you all uh, became a part of his legacy because you guys all worked with him, you guys all did stuff with him, proteges, what have you. There's too many parts. I don't see how they could put a movie together on Prince's life because there's just too much. And Jerome says, "You're absolutely right. It's just too complex." And he goes, I don't even think they could find the right person to play Prince. Prince was Prince. As far as an actor or something like that, he doesn't think it would do it justice. Now they also talked in this panel that they actually a play is coming out on based on the Purple Rain, not the movie, but like on the not the story, but it's gonna be like Purple Rain based, so to speak. And that play is coming out on Broadway in October. But they have not announced who's going to play Prince on stage yet. It's a big secret.
Mm.
So they are putting a play together on Prince, and we'll see how they do with it. So that's happening for sure.
Oh boy.
So they mentioned that, but yeah, I don't see a movie being made on a guy like this. There's just too much to it. I don't think they would do it the right way. That's how I feel.
Can I ask you all a question?
Shoot.
Why is I just say a personal thoughts. What is it? I mean, I know, and I this we could go on for hours about this, right? So I mean, I guess we just do a condensed version. Why is the legacy of Prince, in Prince in particular, so like why do you feel personally that you have to pass it down? And I'm just curious, like to hear your thoughts. And I feel the same way, but I'm just curious to hear your thoughts.
Mm.
Why do us personally?
Why do you feel like? Why is it so important? Like, okay, we think we're a million. We love a million artists, right?
Yeah,
I don't think about any art like okay, like me personally. I do shows. I do Prince tributes. I do them all the time. You know what I'm saying? Though, like once a year or so, I do like a Prince tribute, or something like that. And it obviously is important to me to keep that energy alive. But I'm saying, why is it for you guys personally? I'm asking you
yeah,
individually,
yeah.
why is it like you? But I don't do this with the. I mean, I do different types of music. I'm about to do a G Funk tribute on Monday
Hell
as a
yeah.
Blue
Awesome.
Note, and Warren G's on the show. So and I love like so we getting into like NWA and all this,
Mm.
Ice Cube, Easy E, all this stuff, right? So um I love that, but it's not something I'm super passionate about as I am about like Prince. There's no artist I'm super passionate about making sure there's. I'm not doing Michael Jackson tributes like that, or I've done them, but I don't do one every year.
Mm.
And so I'm just curious, like, what is it for you that makes you feel like I want to? This is why this is so crucial to me to make sure people know about Prince
Mm.
Who wants
Well,
to
in the
answer that
future
first?
generations.
well, for
Who
me,
wants to go first?
for me, Prince impacted me at a young age when that I Want to Be Your Lover single came out. That was the first single I saw, first single I had, first single that was in my house, first video I saw. So from that point on, when I saw that my mother liked that song and my father liked that song and I liked the song, I saw how much joy that they had when that song came on when I was a little kid. When I saw that, that was my first love of Prince. The following year on my block, there was a house party about 4 doors down, and they're playing Head. I'm riding my bike around the block over and over, and I'm hearing this song, and these teenagers, they're in this house, they're high school students. They're playing this Dirty Mind album, and I'm wondering who the hell is this album? Why are they playing this song over? So I just kept riding my bike around and around because I wanted to hear the rest of this record. That these kids, they had the door open, and they were partying. And finally, I seen somebody walk out with the album. And I saw it tucked under the guy's head, and I saw the guy in the G string and trench coat, and I was like, "That's the record that we have at the house. It's
Mm.
Prince." And I realized who it was. And then I go to my aunt's house. This is all like right around the same time. She has the Prince album there. First time I see the Prince album, first time I get to, hear the whole album. And I go to her house on weekends playing the album. She finally just said, take the album home. Take it home and listen to it. She let me keep the album. She never asked for it back.
Mm.
So
Which one was
those
that? Which album was that? The Prince album, the second
Yeah,
one.
the self-titled, the Prince album.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
was that. So that ended up being that single off that album ended up being the first single that I saw of her, and then album ended up being the first album that I even ever owned. And from that point on, my love for Prince started. And then I figured out that I was the only kid that really liked him. Like all the kids, when I went to school, trying to talk about Prince, he was this, he was that, he's wearing the drawers. He's gay, he's this and he's that. But like Sly and James and Hendrix and for me personally, and I noticed this about myself. Anybody that's an entertainer, even Marvin Gaye, to me Marvin Gaye is such a rebel. Anybody that's a rebel in entertainment, but they're so fucking talented. I love them. That's the artists that are against the grain. George, Jimmy, Rick James. It's something about their talent, even through the fog, the corruption, the turmoil, the mess. Sly, the perfect example of these people. I love the work, and that was something that I was drawn to, and so I couldn't really stay away from that. So the artists like that, I was drawn to Prince because he was so fucking left field. No kids didn't understand it, but I did for some reason, and then I finally met somebody in fourth or fifth grade that understood it. And I was like, and we became friends. So from that point on, in fourth grade, when I met the first dude my age at about 10, 11 years old that liked Prince, we still friends to this fucking day. In 2025, we met in 1983, the year
Wow.
when 1999 came out. We're still friends. Now, the key to the story is all of you are here on the screen with me today because we all love the same dude. And every person that I meet because they love Prince, we're still friends to this very fucking day. And that is the reason why I uphold the legacy because even then, back then as a kid, I would tell people, if you heard the 1999 album, I told my dad when I saw Purple Rain, he took me to see Purple Rain. First, I want a guitar. First song I wanted to learn was Let's Go Crazy. I had my father take me to go get guitar lessons. The guy taught me Let's Go Crazy. I got the sheet work for it. I quit guitar lessons. I only wanted to learn that one song. And I never learned to play no other song. True story. True
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
But
Amazing.
but it's because of everybody that I talked to from the age 10 till now. I talked about Prince. Everybody now, and when he passed, I got so many phone calls about because of you, I was introduced to Prince, or you were the one that turned me on to Prince. Man, I remember when you used to play that Prince in your bug all the time. Man, I remember you used to play that Controversy all the time. But when he passed, I got all those calls back about from the people that I turned them on to. So that
Mhm.
is the reason why for me.
Mm.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead, Heaven? Why don't you speak? Go ahead. I'm
Man,
adjusting my
I'm
phone right
listening.
now.
I'm just looking for something. I'm listening.
you have me thinking about all the memories of being a kid. And mind you, my childhood was in the 90s. So my parents had every album you can think of. They were actually present at the tour Prince did because they told me about it. Prince and Tina Marie, and my uncle was at the show where Prince got booed off with the Rolling Stones.
Mm.
So I've heard all these stories, and being in the house, my dad was big on funk. He was big on, Gap Band, Rick James. He loved Cambio. And then my mom had like, Blondie, and she had that Vanity Six album too. I remember the pull out poster. So
Mhm.
well, my earliest memories of Prince was hearing 1999, and I was not allowed to listen to Lady Cab Driver. But that was my favorite song off the album. That was my favorite song. And Something in the Water. And I remember we had the VHS of Purple Rain. And my cousins and I would come in the room when the parents weren't around, no adults, and we'd watch it, and we would just imitate playing guitar, like jumping on the bed, and we'd get excited seeing the Des Deckerson, just the whole concert, the whole theme about being a rock star and imitating this guy who's not only pushing the boundaries of gender, but you know, where is there another time besides Hendrix that someone who's black is playing guitar in this fashion that's completely eccentric, completely unique, and so being in this whole childhood where I'm immersed in this world of music, and I know I love music, and I have cousins that love music, and no one picked it up, the love for Prince, as deeply as I did. And I have friends in my life right now who, just like you, John, we're friends because of our love for Prince. And not as many people I know choose to go down the rabbit hole the way that we do. Because once you go down that purple rabbit hole, it's hard to, you keep going. And I think for me, I just don't think there's ever going to be another artist as talented, as indelible, as magical, as spiritual, in every single element as an artist. And for me, I am constantly giving people the gift of letting them know, hey, he's not just a mainstream artist. I know what you hear on the radio is When Doves Cry or 1999, but actually he's got a discography and then some. And that is the beauty of his work, really. Like, his talent is not just the surface level radio hits you hear. And you go into the world of YouTube where these demos are at, and I'm still finding stuff, and it's just letting, I don't know, the beauty of his musicianship. I love Michael Jackson, but I don't love him as much as I love Prince. And Michael Jackson was a phenomenal performer, entertainer, but he didn't play as many instruments as Prince did. Today we got like Beyonce. Today we got, you know, I don't even know as many modern artists because I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck in the 80s and 90s. But
Right.
there's never going to be another Prince. Never. So I think what I carry with me daily is just the invitation of sharing his gift of life, his gift of music, his gift of talent, his creativity, his and his way of like navigating creativity. He started something, he finished it, he started it again. He may have come back to it, created or added on, but he was always creating. Always, 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 always. So when I hear people like, what is your inspiration to create? And I always go back to Prince. Like, he is the number one role model, mentor in all elements of creativity, of music, of uniqueness, and making making the foundation of no rules. Just being exactly as you are. And he still holds that torch. I don't think anyone can do it the way he did it.
Yeah.
No one else. No one else.
Yeah, he's definitely inspired me in that way of trying to wear a lot of hats, trying to do a lot
Yeah.
of things in a short period of time. I've taken a page out of that book, trying to do more than just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of grow some branches and show that you can do this, you can do this, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that he did so excellent, and successfully. And yeah, nobody. I don't think anybody will ever achieve the status that he did, but the example that he set, yeah, that bar is like, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's way the hell up here.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. About 2 weeks, well, actually the weekend before the celebration, I put on Graffiti Bridge, and me and Letty were watching it. And in the middle of the movie, out of nowhere, she goes, "Paul, why do you like Prince so much?" So I had to think about it. I said, "There's three reasons. Number one, because his style, I dig his style. Number one, that's my style. His style is my style. Two, the messages in his music. And three, the work ethic. That's what sums it up for me with that guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those three things. I mean, everything else, there's other things, but those are the three main things for me. For when he talks about the subject of Prince, it's those three things. Most important thing.
So is
Um,
that free to tell people to share that with people or to hold up his legacy? Is that one of the three things you would tell people?
Absolutely, and I have. I definitely, I've mentioned, those three things. Well, style is, everybody's got certain things they like. My style wouldn't is probably not somebody else's style. That's like personal taste. But work ethic and positive messages in music or messages about life, that's pretty universal. Those two things are pretty universal to me. So yeah, I definitely mentioned the work ethic that this man had and the messages. You know, look past, you know, the because he had different songs and we all know this, and there was stuff that was risque and stuff that he did, and on the edge, and he did on purpose. But if you look beyond that and look about the other messages that he had, he's talking about life. There's a lot of songs where he's talking about good, positive ways to look at life. And those are the things that stand out for me more than anything else. You know, so that's how I feel. I had the opportunity to speak to Johnny Nelson at the block party, and I basically told him, I said, I just want you to know that your cousin helped raise me. And he just looked at me and I said, he helped raise me. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for me.
I feel like that whole Minneapolis circle raised me because I've always looked at those Time covers and always them my big cousins and my big uncles right there.
Yeah.
So the feeling of knowing them and being friends with them and then being able to tip up on a stage with them every now and then is fucking surreal.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember, saying that I felt like they was some people that were in my family. Like I felt like there was really like I have real uncles that act like them. Like they just clown all the time. So
Right.
when I first discovered the Time and Andre Simone, I like them people look like people in my family.
Mhm.
I always said, them my cousins. I always claimed it as a kid, and here we are.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's just, to me, I think it's a special thing how a man like that, even after his passing, that his music and his thoughts and the way he did things have brings together all of us. You know what I mean? From all over the world. They all gathered like this past weekend at the celebration to all celebrate what he did. I think that's really special, and not every artist uh, can leave that legacy like that, has left a legacy like that behind. That's pretty special to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of love, a lot of light amongst the Purple family when when you come to these trips and even these events in LA and I know Chris is on the East Coast, but and I know there's a lot of events that happen out there, but I know out here in the West Coast, man, we have these different Purple musicology events, the Bump Squad, the Prince Army LA, all these little events that happen here and there sporadically when we go to them. When we come together and we show the fuck out.
That's right.
Like we come deep, we and we looking out for each other, all the sisters and brothers. We making sure, you got a drink, you ate, you cold, you need a sweater, you need a ride home. It's just one of those things. You want to come sit at our table, or I'm going backstage. Come on, come with me. It's one of those things like we all just kind of just look out for each other, and it's all because of Prince. He kind of, like you said, instilled that subliminally in a lot of cases in his music about taking care of each other, loving each other, holding each other up, and subconsciously you do it when you're around people that love Prince and all of his army, all of the people that came out of his musical empire. We just naturally come together and we love on one another.
Right.
So it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's a special feeling.
It's wild how I do have a lot of community that that is kind of that I met through the music of Prince, and it is like a sense of knowing that you feel with people. It is kind of a sense of like, okay, we have somewhat of a somewhere along our life we have some very similar viewpoints about things. I don't know, just because of the music that kind of, somebody's really um, deep into Prince, and you meet people, and there's a connection. There's like a unspoken language
It is.
that you have.
It's like a
Um,
Morse code, right?
mhm. And I guess one of the reasons I do what I do is um, I remember whenever we would do whenever Prince would come to town, I'd be, so hyped. I just knew, I was like, I was living in Chicago. I was like, if Prince is in Chicago, I know he's here. So I know he's here. And like, Prince is here today, he's got a show. And same thing in New York. When I got here, I just was always hyped because I knew he was, you're gonna be here. And got to see him a bunch of times, obviously, but still was just like um just if I wasn't seeing him, I was like, I knew he was there. And I just know how special he was for everyone. And so when those times come around, like April 21st and the birthday comes around, and I know a lot of people still experience a lot of pain, um, during that time. And it's still very difficult for me. I see people still to this day, like just starting to print my prints and they start crying and shit. So it's kind of like, I know that's part of the reason why I've been, doing it, the things I do. And that's what kind of inspired it. Shout out to um, Tammy Sharp, because Tammy came to me one day, and I really didn't even know Tammy that well at the time. We knew each other. Like, she came to one of my shows, but we knew each other from the Prince, being around, going to see MPG or this, which is cool. It's like, what's up? And then one day she came to one of my shows, and then she was like, you should consider doing something for April 21st. Yeah, every year was, I think it was 2019. She was like, you should consider doing something for April 21st. For like celebrate Prince, like maybe like the spiritual music of Prince. And I was like, yeah, all right, that sounds cool. And so we went to, the venue, we set it all up. And I had the craziest experience with that show because it was deep, man. And I'm sure, like, I know somebody y'all can relate to this. Um, I was in Denver for the show. I was there the day before. It's 420. I had to go to Denver to do a show, and it was like deep. Well, I had to fly to Denver, but the show was like an hour away from um, um, Denver. It was like deep into like Colorado,
Mhm.
and I almost didn't make it back for the show because it was like, um, it was a matter. It was just some issues, like, like I almost didn't make it back in time to do the show, but I ended up making it time, like didn't make it time to like do the sound check and do the show. And there were extreme events going up to that. But I remember that when I got back, I was like kind of nervous about doing it. I was like, man, we about to do this press, because I knew it was well promoted. I knew people were talking about it. It was like a lot of Prince heads were talking about coming out to the show and all that. And at the time, I didn't really know a lot of these people like that. I mean, I've seen them out. They might have seen me, but we didn't know each other like that. I was into this Prince stuff like that. But make a long story short, I remember that night it was packed. And I remember I was outside. I was standing outside. I was a little down the block, getting ready to do the show, and I saw this kid. I never saw this person. I never saw, but he had like I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Some Prince. They had like the Prince. It was like a purple jacket with some. I can't remember what it was. Dirty Mind. It was something on the back of the jacket, but I remember that just being such standing out to me. Like, okay, here's this person. I don't know like that. I don't know who this guy is, but this dude heard that one of his heroes being celebrated, and we connect on that. And he came to kick it to feel that, to feel that celebration. He was like, yo, y'all doing that? I'm gonna be there. And the fact that those people showed up and they came to the show to kick it, and we went through his spiritual stuff, and then we did like the spiritual stuff, and then the second set we wild out. We just, did Erotic City and this and that and all that, and Housequake and all that shit. But the first set was like we were doing like God Created Woman and things like that. You know what I'm saying? The Sensual Ever After. We were doing like these different songs that were just more God. We did God. We did, things like that. And when we did the work, we just went into his spiritual side, and I just remember being like, yo, this is like, I know this is not Prince, but this is like, I love that we're here, that we're all excited about something. We're here, we're celebrating this thing. And it just reminded me like how those times where we just look forward, that vibe, just knowing that, it was going up, the spirit, this music, we were going to celebrate the music. And I think for me, that is kind of what propels me. I'm like, that sense of community, that sense of like bringing somebody into these lyrics. And I know I found myself a lot through these lyrics. I found a lot of introspection about life, about being free, about being bold. That Prince lived in his music, about manifesting things, about living, not like creating things, creating the world you want to live in. And for Prince, who did that better than Prince? Like Prince, like he just, look. I'm gonna throw parties to like 5 a.m. in the morning, and y'all come. I don't care if you got to go to work, but y'all gonna come. Y'all gonna come be there. If you're lucky, you're gonna get chosen to be in this room.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's and I'm gonna have like the most beautiful woman you ever seen in your life there, and I'm just gonna play all my songs. If it's my songs or people like, I'm gonna play some James Brown on that. I'm gonna do it, and we just gonna kill it. Like the fact that he manifested this world, and it's just such a life that he lived, and so I just feel like his story is so inspiring for anybody who's and it's not for everybody. That's why it's interesting. Like it is, but it's not. Like you have to go. You have to take the purple pill, if you will, to come into this world. But what's going to happen on the other side, right?
Yeah.
What happens on the other side is you go into a whole nother whether you choose to walk down the line, you like the truth is there for you. You find out, okay, I can be whatever be. I can do whatever I want to do. I can live the world. I can be as free as I want, as funky as I want, as loving as I want, as black as I want, as spiritual as I want, as freaky as I want. Like Prince gave you the keys to go do that shit. And he just like, yo, this is like peace and be wild. I feel like for me creatively, as an artist, like he is the person that gave me those keys to live my life to the fullest, to be as fearless as I can be. And I just hope that, I guess, what I try to do is, like I said, keep not only that energy alive for the people just who love this music. So, because like a DJ can do so much. A DJ is, it's dope. You get like a DJ like Dudley D, or a DJ like DJ Spinner, or certain people who really know the music. Like what's my soul system in New Orleans, or a Link of Paris, or something like that. There's certain DJs that just really Monday Blue is another one. In New York, like that know the music to a T, where they can really give you a spiritual experience with the way they do it. But we know many more of these DJs, when you go out, it's like, yo, what are you doing? They cut off like Kiss they don't play the extended version, or they don't play the whole thing of the bird. It just be like, yo, what are you doing? And it's just like they don't even like,
They disrespected, man. They
Yeah.
disrespected.
it is like, so it's a hit. It's really more misses than hits
Yeah.
to get that experience from DJs, and then from bands that do overdo it and they come out with the ruffles and all that, or they just don't, know the music like that, or they just play the covers. So me as a person, what I try to do as an artist is when I do these things, I try to bring in my friends. Like, first of all, people who know the music, like, are very serious students of his music, and bring in guests and bring in like people who I just know love, that they come in with the love, do my thing on top of that, but I do it my way. I do it, have fun with it, but we are still like delivering that foundation, aspire what we're aspiring to, to do that. And I feel like by doing that, creating that essence of the world. I'm sorry if I'm long winded, but I'm just, you know, trying to really answer the question. It just for me, I love the fact that it brings the people together. We hate to have that purple moment. We get to feel that synergy of, like, we don't know what's going to happen. That element of surprise that Prince always had in all his shows, and then for new people to come in and be like, "Yo, what's up with this?" I'm coming to your show. I already, like, I didn't know them songs you did though. I didn't know. I never heard the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. I never heard this song you did. I never heard this song you did. And this is like, yeah, but this is like what you need to know. Like, you need to get up, whatever. For me, you know, giving them the keys to that, to open that door and say, "Yo, check this out," because they might not hear it or feel it. Like, if I play like sometimes you put on Prince in the car of people who don't really rock with Prince like that. They're like, "All right, it's cool, but what else? Can we play something else?" But versus bringing them in live, that's part of the reason why I do it, and because Prince, I wouldn't be doing what I did if like, Prince was such a big inspiration to me in doing what I do, and playing and writing songs and performing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is to add on to. I mean, I can speak another hour, but I won't. That's why I do it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
we all could. We all could.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. That's yeah.
Yeah, it's real impactful,
Yeah.
especially because we were around when he came up. We were around when he started. So I think that's why it impacts us the most. As
Mhm.
Yeah.
opposed to the people that kind of got into him around Emancipation or around the gold experience. I meet a lot of those people that came up. Oh, Graffiti Bridge is my joint, but they were born in that era. But we saw, the late '70s and early '80s. We bought those records when they were new. And that's the Prince we saw, early on. That's the Prince we fell in love with. That culture, that part of the culture, the early '80s.
Did y'all go? Did y'all go to the Purple Highs party?
Which
No.
part was it?
Did you go to Dudley's party on Saturday night?
Yeah, Paul, you went.
Yeah, I was there late.
At the rooftop party?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I was there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was there. I was only there for maybe an hour and a half, but I was there. Yeah, it was cool. I wish I
To,
could have
to,
stayed longer. We were getting tired though.
mm.
Yeah,
I
but I
say
was
I,
there.
I stayed until the end of the night, yo.
Did you?
And
Wow.
yeah, and what happened in that room? I guess maybe, Dudley being like as close to it as he was. It was just, to me, I just really felt like, he channeled that spirit, bro. Like, he just really, he closed with "Forever in My Life." I think it's from it might have been this live version he did in Japan. I forget what album it was,
Forever in
but
my life. Is that what you
yeah,
say?
he did. Yeah, he did like a live. He closed it with a live version of it. It's like this long live version of it,
Oh wow.
and but you just felt like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that experience where you felt like, yo, we are experiencing a purple moment right here. This is like, we're still, we're really coming together to celebrate a different side of his genius. You're not playing like soft and wet. You're not playing Kiss. You're not playing, like, we're playing like this deep extended version from wherever. and
Yeah.
of this song,
Right.
whole different version, whole different key, whole different arrangement. It was
Right.
just very subtle and very smooth, like the way the version of it, and just really getting those moments where you just really can feel his genius, come through. You know, um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just very special, and obviously we know that, but it's just I don't know something about now on this side of it. I think that's the most heartbreaking thing about losing him was losing like just like it felt like damn like that was like the highlight for me when the Prince was coming to town. I knew I was gonna get to see
Yeah.
his concert.
Yeah.
It was such a high for me, obviously for all of y'all, and it was just like that high. Somebody like snatching a rug from under you, like okay, you can't have that anymore.
Mm.
So now we can only have it through like you know it needs it's part of it is the community of people and having a collective joyful moment. And so the artists that create those moments, um, you just really want it to be, you know, people who really um, what they just really understand it. They know the layers of what they're doing, and so many people come try, but they don't even come close. They just you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's heartbreaking sometimes because you like hear about something like, yo, okay, yo, they doing all this stuff over here and they're doing this thing this night. And you get there and it's just like, man, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
didn't even need to come to this.
You got
You know
you.
what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just, but
Right.
that's all.
Right.
And it's we're working on it, man. We're just trying to keep his
Well,
message alive.
well, we're coping. We've been coping with it for the last 9 years.
Mhm.
Um, the fact that he's not here anymore to put out new music and to do shows and at 57 years old, man, he still had a lot of years ahead of him. And unfortunately it got taken away. Um, I always think about like what you were just saying right now. I always think about what Chuck D for Public Enemy when Prince passed away. I read a quote that he said, and he said, "Well, music's now missing a note.
Say one more time.
Music's missing a note now." That's what
Mm.
Chuck D said, and yeah, I totally agree with that 1,000%. It hasn't been the
Mm.
same since Prince has been gone. So it's up to us to keep this going and for future generations. And who knows? Hope maybe down some years from now, or even right now, there might be another Prince among us, a young Prince, or in the future that might come along and do it all over again. We shall see.
There will never be another Prince.
That's right.
We know
Well,
this.
well,
That's right.
I'll say that. I'll say
That's right.
this.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'll say this in retrospect to what Paul is saying. We of course, yeah, we know there ain't gonna never be
Yeah, you don't never
another
be another
Prince.
Prince.
But I know what I would like to see is another one man machine because
Yeah.
we had our Shiggy Otis, we've had our Sly Stone, we've had our Prince, we've had our Stevie Wonder. Stevie's still
Mhm.
here with us,
mhm,
but these are the people that can sing, that can produce, that can arrange, that can do all
mhm,
their background vocals, that can play several instruments, and that's what I want to see. I want to see somebody who can hold down a whole fucking studio
mhm.
with
Right.
just an engineer, and they can kill that shit.
Right.
I think we've seen.
Only time
I
they
think
need a
we've seen
band
a
is
lot
when
of
they on
people like
tour.
that.
Huh?
I think we've seen a lot of people like that now. I'm not gonna front. I mean, I see a lot of artists that are doing it. Like I come across my IG feed and I see people that are playing drums, playing bass, playing guitar. I think it's even more. It to me, I feel like that's even more of a. Now I'm not saying that they're creating the kind of music that Prince is creating,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that but some people are doing dope things. You have a D'Angelo who could come into the studio and do that. Or
Yeah.
you before that, or Zwelly that does something like that, or
Rock
Yeah.
LP.
Lenny Kravitz, or
Yeah.
um, you can know, and then it's newer artists. It's like that I'm seeing that are like killing it.
Yeah.
That are like going to the lab and do they think, you know what I'm saying, can just go out and put out a whole album and they do the whole album. So I don't think that is as an uncommon thing now. I think writing songs with the mystique that Prince wrote them and with the salaciousness and the spiritual likeness and the spirituality and the like that meeting that line, the layers of that he had as a songwriter. Now that is something that I don't know we'll see
Right.
for a long time. You know, I don't know because that was like that was his, you know, his gift. He knew how to really make you, you know,
Yeah.
um, to say a line, like write a lyric, and it would just take you so many different places. It
Yeah.
could take you spiritual. It could take you sensual.
It
It could
was
take you,
poetry. It was
yeah,
poetry. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
But it was like
Yeah, I think he was.
it was another thing. It kind of made you, in a sense, um, there was like this edge you walk along with Prince. You know what I'm saying? Walk along the line with Prince, as terms of like lyrically, there was this thing like um the songs are almost like what would you do in this situation? Like everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it. It like there was a certain like it was a way that he would just make you think about your own life, your own reflection
Mhm.
in his lyrics. Like for
Right.
every song. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just made you
Right.
like think
Right.
about your own relationships, think about your own perspective in that moment
Mhm.
and your own where you were
Right.
on because we all have good and bad and everything that's in us, you know what I'm saying? It's what we feed
Right.
ourselves. We
Right.
have levels of sensuality, you have levels of spirituality. And I just feel like he was a person that like knew how to really make you engage in those thoughts
You tapped
with
into all
every
that.
like every song. You know, he had some line or some lyric that made you be like, like that's deep. I never, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Made you think about your own self and like where you
Right.
drew the line or
Right.
where your courageousness. I think that's what for me was so interesting about him as a lyricist.
Mhm.
He pushed, you know, he made you kind of find the truth about yourself. He made you every song was like introspective, but it wasn't even it wasn't necessarily being preachy. He could be preachy, but he could be preachy, not preachy, but he could speak to you even talking about a song that was completely sexual. He could still make you stop and think about God. He could, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? He could make you just like take you there, like the 360 of your brain within
Right.
one song. And
Right.
that just, you know, in most of his songs, and that's just, I don't know, that is, I think, is what we, and obviously, you know, beyond his otherworldly talent, um, people can play the instrument. I think you can any like if you sit in front of instruments all day and you play at them, you can put it together. You can put songs together. But writing them with that kind of truth, with that kind of heart, is a whole nother animal.
Mhm. Mhm.
That
That's
goes back
that.
to what I was saying about like when I said the message about the messages. Is exactly what you
Mm-hmm.
just said, man. That's exactly what I meant. Is that he would some of the lyrics would you would look at yourself about what he's talking about. You know what I mean? It you would look at your own life. He would say certain things and it's like and it would hit you or it would hit me and it'd be like, wow. And I would have a different out or look on things because of what he
Mm-hmm.
just said in the song. You know, um, the song "Into the Light" off the Chaos and Disorder album. There's a lot of things that he says in that song, very spiritual. And there's
Mm-hmm.
one line in particular when he says, um, "If you could sell your worries, would anyone buy them?" It's stuff like that that at least for me, it was like, that's right. I got my problems. Nobody else is gonna fix them for me. So I gotta be responsible for these problems. That's what I meant by how he helped raise me and how he helped me look at things in a good way in my life. That's a prime example of what I was talking about. And you hit the nail on the head there, man. That's exactly what I meant too. What you said, Chris.
Mm.
Good points, man. Good points.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Evan, you have anything to add to that?
Well, touching upon the spiritual elements of his words, I mean, we all know he really knew how to tap in and dive deep to whether you want to call it his feminine or romantic element of himself. But I can name so many songs that have the message of being able to mirror and illuminate my own life, and one of them is Free, off of 1999, that era. And it's so beautiful. And even the beautiful ones, it's in a sense it's like a ballad, but he's speaking to himself, yet he has this knack of speaking in metaphors, and I think there's this interview where he's discussing how he had to rearrange what his meanings meant in order for it to be displayed in the mainstream, and how Let's Go Crazy was like the display of like heaven and hell, and like or something like that. I don't remember the interview. And I go back into like Emancipation, where Dreaming About You, the whole song is poetry, and word for word it's a love song, but it's also just so almost Shakespearean, every single lyric. I can't I can't remember, but he says something about the ruins of Rome. If I lie helpless at your feet,
Mhm.
um, it's so beautiful and perfect. But he did that, he did that in the way that he could do it, on top of putting in these elements of whether it was beats or a cappella or piano, even his version of 17 Days on piano. Oh, one of my favorites. It's but yeah, the message is important. The message is what brings people to life in illuminating and mirroring, what is being said. And you may hear things that I don't hear that is mirroring your life that I can't mirror. It's just, so there's many elements in there.
He made
Absolutely.
it personal for each and every one of us in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much how that's it in a nutshell right there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's impacted our lives so deeply, and man, I miss him so much, man. So I'm glad we were here to come together and talk about him and talk about our weekend in his hometown. We've been out there several times between all of us, and we see that he runs that town. Even still, when he's not there, he still runs that town.
Mm-hmm.
His
Yeah,
murals, I
Yeah.
mean, his spirit is all over that city, man.
Wait, can I tell you something crazy
Knock yourself out.
that happened that night?
Uh-oh.
So hold on a second. So I get there, right?
Mhm.
And to the party, the rooftop. And it's about maybe 10:30 when I got there. And there was this cat I was talking to from San Antonio. And so you remember the front part of the room, they had the tent where Deli was playing and the whole outside,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And um the dude, I was talking to the cat, like, and he's standing by a speaker, and the speaker's not on. He's this on the outside. All the music is coming from inside the tent, and I was just like, mm, I guess this is I look at the speaker and I see that it's unplugged, and I was just like, I guess maybe it's a city ordinance or something like that. But like they don't the music can't be a certain loud because I was just kept thinking like we all the people were sitting over here like they're so like if you visualize and this is the thing the music is all here under the tent and we're all listening to on this side of the room we're listening to the music that's coming from out of the tent. But you can't. It's all like it's in another room in a way. And people were sitting around talking, but I was like looking at. I was like, but what? And the dude was like, "Man, plug it up, man, plug it up." And I was like, maybe it's a city order. I don't know, but I was thinking to myself like I was like, I didn't feel like getting involved, but I was like, but this is like Purple Rain, like this
This
is
is a
like
party.
this is June 7th.
This
Like
is a
why?
party,
I didn't
goddamn.
understand why that would be like that, right? I was like, what? I mean, but maybe I debated with my head, and I was like, hold on, let me just ask somebody. And I was like, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? Because I be doing shit. I'm like the person. I be just doing stuff. But I don't mess around at print like at Paisley and all because everything's super tight. Like everything. They just have a thing the way they do things in Minneapolis, right? So I was like, let me just go ask somebody. I asked this dude. I went to the door. I was like, yo, is this speaker? I'm just kidding. Is this speaker supposed to be plugged up? He was like, dude was like, uh, maybe it probably should be. And then he walked over there. He's like, oh yeah, maybe it should be. I was like, I gotta get somebody to figure out. I was like, no, I can just plug. All you gotta do is plug it in, whatever. Turn the speaker on, and the whole party, it just went to another level. Because now it's outside, and everybody's like, I left for like 5 minutes, and I came back, and everybody was standing up dancing outside now. Because now it's like the whole, but it was like crazy. It was just like this moment, just like, yo, hold up, like, what are y'all doing? Like, but I'm not. I ain't trying to say I say the party or not like that. I'm just saying like
Yeah, you
it
saved the
just tripped
party,
me out.
man.
It
You
just
saved the
tripped me
party.
out like that little thing. Like I be noticing little things like that, and it just tripped me out. I was just like, yo, like even paid attention to that. Like maybe the speaker is supposed to be plugged up because it just didn't make sense to me. And I'm like going back and forth, like maybe, but I was like, no, but but it goes back to what you just said. He was like, Prince runs this town, even like he's not here. I was like, and that was my thought. I was like, why would they not? If they're blasting Prince from the rooftop, why are they like, yo, y'all got to keep it down though? That
Yeah.
doesn't make
Right.
sense. And that's what
Right.
made me go ask. I was like, yo, like, no, this should be plugged up.
Yeah.
And it was just a thing, you know what I'm saying? But it was like Prince. I don't know. He was,
Yeah.
that shit's supposed to be blasting. What
Yeah.
we doing? It's not supposed to be, soft. I don't know. It was just a moment, but yeah,
Like
it
you
was a wild. It was a great weekend, man. I'm glad. I saw you, and I'm glad that we got to, kick it, do the bird and all that. But it was always great to have communion with the Purple fan, and just to celebrate. And I feel like we did that this time. It was one of my favorite. I've been to Celebration probably about uh, 4 times, I want to say, something like that. And
okay.
this was probably like definitely one of my favorite
Top
times.
of this, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was a great celebration, man. There was a lot of good memories. And then a lot of people that were supposed to be on the show did not appear, unfortunately, because of other, obligations. But we want to send a shout out to them, Danielle, Tori, who else did I
What
invite
up?
on? I had St. Paul was
Jerome.
supposed to be on, Jason, JP was supposed to come on. Um,
Jerome. Jerome Benson.
Jerome. Yeah, there was a lot of people that sent to invite. Mark Platt. There's quite a few people, so we want to wish them well and say hello to them. And we want to acknowledge them because we were all out there. They were all out there with us having fun and soaking it all up with us. So we want to send a shout out to them as well. And I and I,
Absolutely.
and I
Respect.
and I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for coming on and having a discussion. And next year is going to mark year 10. Any thoughts on going out there this year, or is it too soon to tell for anyone just yet?
I'll be there. No
You
question.
you plan on going? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got some plan to do. Funkclone,
Mhm.
what about you? You thinking about the 10 year
Yeah,
or
it's too early to call right now, but
yeah.
let's see how I. Yeah, I mean, we'll see in a few months how I feel, but yeah, it's right now. I'm still trying to go over this last one. So
Hey, well, my situation, man. I was not even going this year until 5 days prior. I bought the ticket, so I bought the ticket to go to Paisley that same like literally days before, so I wasn't going. So you never know. I guess
I might
it might
I
just
might be
change my
with you, right?
mind.
I might be with you on that one, man. We'll maybe just
Yeah,
do it like just a spur of the moment. That might be
yeah,
me. We'll
yeah.
see how it goes. Yeah.
Chris, you thinking about it possible or too early to tell for you?
I'm banking on going.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, once you get there, damn, why wasn't I want to come? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
last year it threw me for a loop a little bit because I just really felt like it was like a little too purple rainy for me. Um, I guess meaning like it felt mid touristy last
Oh.
year.
Oh.
It was something about it. It felt very like introduction to Prince. It didn't feel like I maybe they were doing Purple Rain. Maybe that more people gravitated to that. I
Mm,
think this year's
Right.
was smaller and it was more like I guess true heads in there, like
mm,
for real. Um
mm,
and it's the 10th year coming up, and now you got parade energy, and I think that it'll be a good year, you know, and I think some positive is gonna happen. So I'm looking forward to doing it. Like being at this one, I was like, I'm definitely gonna come next year. I made up
Hmm.
my mind.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely put some in my heart too, man. That's why I had to ask. Like, I definitely felt something. You know, it was something unique and different. It was really, really special this time. So I'm like, man, I got to pull up next year maybe because I missed last year. So this year
Mm.
made up
Mhm.
for it.
Well,
Right.
let's look into planning something, man. Something cool, you know, around it. Maybe a couple of days before it or a day after, you know, after everything is done. Like, just look to do, you know, do something where we can be creative and do, you know, I don't know, something cool, you know. I don't know, something that just so people who are there early, just another day, another add to the celebration some kind of way.
Yeah,
I'm
that
down to
sound
do
like a
that,
plan. Sound like a plan,
you
man.
know.
That definitely sounds like a plan for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get it. I'm down with it, you know.
That's
Hell
what's up,
yeah,
man.
man.
Let's do
Well,
Yeah.
it.
much love to y'all, man. I'm glad we did this. This is beautiful,
Yeah.
and I'm
Hmm.
glad to hear your thoughts. And I concur. Like
Hmm.
it's always awesome to meet people who have been moved, like I've been moved by this music. And so God
Yeah.
bless y'all, man, and
Likewise.
continue
Likewise.
blessings.
Likewise.
Yeah, same to
Yeah.
Yeah.
you, man. I'm glad you
Likewise.
guys came on, and I want to
Thank you.
send love to you all. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and viewing Digital Soul Presents, our recap of the Minneapolis trip. My friends here, DJ Funkclone, Heaven Diane, and Chris Rob from the East Coast. I know you're tired, bro. I know, what is it, like 2 in the morning there right now?
Bro, I flew in from LA this morning
Oh
Yeah.
man.
and had a show I played at Louis Armstrong's house tonight.
Yeah, I know you were telling me
And
you had a gig. So, yeah.
we did a thing, and they showed the documentary, we won the funk documentary
Okay.
Oh yeah.
tonight.
Okay.
They showed us house, so we went into Louis Armstrong's house and we saw the tour. We saw like his whole where he slept, his bedroom, his office. It was crazy. If you pass through New York, it's crazy. A
What?
must do. But
Mm.
we just saw like his basement where he played poker, his
Mm.
bathroom. His house was so immaculate. It was
Wow.
unbelievable how dope it was. How you like it looked like a movie set.
Mm.
It was
Yeah.
so dope, and it was just all touches of him and his wife. They left everything untouched. They had like her lingerie on the bed. It was crazy. It was crazy. But we did that and we did a show. Like, so I literally flew from LA this morning, did the show, and got home. And then I saw your message on IG. So, hey, you know, we did the damn thing today.
Yeah, man,
You
we
know,
made it, man. You made. I
yeah.
didn't think you was gonna make it, but you made it, man. I thank you for that.
Best love, brother. Much
Yeah,
love to you,
appreciate
fam.
you,
Yeah,
man.
I'm glad I
Appreciate
could
it.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And then, ladies and gentlemen, please tune in again soon for our next episode. And Chris, if you got any handles, we would like people to find you, IG, Facebook, or any upcoming shows or anything you would like to drop to my viewers.
Chris Rob online on IG is where I'm the most active. But you go to my website, chrisrobmusic.com, and it'll send you, I guess, anywhere you want to go for more information. But my next thing is on Monday. We're doing the G Funk tribute Warren G. And so we're gonna open it up and celebrate a lot of that music, a lot of the inspirations and samples that came from that music, from the George Clintons to the Steve Arrington to the Junior, all that stuff that people sampled from that time, Michael McDonald, all that stuff. We can tap into a little bit of that
All right.
and rock with the big homie Warren G. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. That's the next thing. That's this Monday at the Blue Note in New York.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's gonna be a really beautiful night.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Miss Heaven, you got any last words or any handles you'd like to drop from our viewers so they can find you or reach out to you?
First and foremost, gratitude to you. Thank you so much for having me on here. Great to meet you. I just would say Instagram would be the most. That's where I'm most active as well. You can find me, girl in heaven. It's just one word. And yeah, I just extending my gratitude for the purple world that we're all immersed in.
Hey there. All right. Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Funkclone, you want to talk about Funkclone Radio? Any last words or any handles you'd like to drop from our viewers?
You can find Funkclone Radio on Mixcloud app. Also the wrap up channel, which I also put together as well. You can find that on Mixcloud as well, Mixcloud app. You can find me on YouTube channel, and you can find me on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook.
Cool deal. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tuning in from Dygital Soul Presents. We will see you soon, and next time, take care, love one another, be safe. Thank you.